welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host, Avik, and this is the podcast where we dive deep into the stories, strategies, and the science behind living your best life mentally, physically, and emotionally. So, today I'm thrilled to have a powerhouse of creativity, resilience, and inspiration joining us, Amber Jeanseau. So, welcome to the show, Amber.
Hi, Avik. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Lovely, lovely. So, Amber, like before we start our conversation, I'd quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Um, Dear listeners, Amber is not just an entrepreneur who is running the Jeanseau Group, a top tier marketing and media agency. She is also a poet, singer, producer, and host of the Coming Unbinged podcast. So, Amber's personal journey through anxiety, addiction, and the chaos of modern life has shaped her no apologies approach to living with the balance, intention, and the joy. So, whether she's helping global brands like Nike or inspiring listeners to reclaim their lives, Amber's insights are authentic, actionable, and downright inspiring. So let's jump into the conversation that you won't want to miss. So welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
Great, lovely. So Amber, like your podcast Coming Unbinged tackles some heavy yet relatable topics. So what inspired you to share your personal struggles so openly?
I think it's just the fact that I see so many people going through very similar things, and it really, you can sit and look over your whole life and see all the areas where you've struggled, and then there's been growth, and you struggle, and then there's growth. But when I was really inspired was actually during the pandemic, so it was 2020, and I was working from home. And I thought, I've got to start sharing what I've gone through. And I was a year into a journey of saying that I would not I'd not drink alcohol anymore. And so that was really where it all started was the decision to say, I am cutting alcohol out of my life. And then the idea for Coming Unbinged came to me sitting at my desk thinking, what are we all doing? And uh, and then here we are 4 years later, and I'm just starting to, really build that up and have guests on the show and starting to create what that really looks like. And that's also part of the journey is understanding that not everything happens overnight. And sometimes things do take several years for you to get to the point where you're like, okay, now I can start seeing that the seed that I planted is starting to grow.
Got it. Got it. So you have worked with massive brands like Nike and Vans. So how do you balance the high pressure world of global marketing with your passion for creativity and wellness?
That's a good question. And my whole focus in life is creating balance. I think one of the things is just that you remember at the end of the day, everyone else is a person just like you. You might be dealing with somebody from a large global brand like Nike, but that person is they're going through the same struggles as you. Maybe they woke up late that morning, or maybe they had a kid that's at home sick and they're thinking about their kid that's homesick, or they have other issues going on, and when you just remember that everyone is going through the same struggle, same journey like you, then you treat that as like this is a relationship. We are, we're not close, but we have a relationship here. It's a working relationship, and it should be one of respect and empathy and kindness. And it usually when you approach situations like that, it usually makes everything seem a little bit smaller because now I'm talking to this person, not a representative of Nike. And no, that's in no way to to minimize the large, the grand scale of what Nike does. It just means that there are a lot of really great people working at Nike, and you're working with that person in that moment.
Understood. Okay. Okay. And so, I mean, you are a strong advocate for managing emotions in the chaotic world. So, what's the one practical way that our listeners can regain control during the emotional overwhelm?
I think, it varies from person to person what they might need to do to calm themselves down. But I find that and it sounds so simple, but I find that breathing exercises are probably the one thing that everyone can do. If you're in a situation and you can't leave the situation, you cannot remove yourself and go find a quiet space. At least, do some breathing exercises. Breathe in, for 4 counts, exhale for three. Breathe in for 4 counts, exhale for three. Give yourself a few seconds of doing that, and then you find that your entire nervous system starts to calm down, and whatever is feeling like an attack to you that's creating some sort of anxiety or emotional response will start to calm itself down because you're calming your nervous system down.
Got it. Understood. So, I mean, in the Coming Unbinged, you emphasize sobriety and the balance also. So, how do you navigate the moments of temptation or kind of relapse? So, what's the advice do you have for others?
That's a wonderful question because I know, for myself, there really wasn't a lot of moments over, and it's been 5 years, over 5 years for me. There have not been a lot of moments where I felt like I needed to return to that as a coping mechanism because I think that's what alcohol is for a lot of people, is a coping mechanism, whether it's to reduce stress or mask emotions that they don't know how to deal with. But I would say that really one of the greatest tools that anyone could employ for moments like that is having some sort of accountability partner. If you have someone that you trust and can be vulnerable to, that if you do have a situation where you're feeling tempted to have a drink and then that's a problem for you, reach out to someone that you trust and say, "Hey, this is one of those times. Can you help me through this?" I think that's one of the greatest things that we all can have. I'm a very independent person, but I have a very close-knit group of people that I trust, and I give them a lot of credit for, anything that I'm successful in because I know in my hardest moments, I can go to them, whether that doesn't have anything to do with alcohol per se, it has to do with everything in life, but for those people who might struggle with any sort of addiction, I would say, find at least one person that you can be accountable with.
Mm, got it. Got it. And also, like, some people might say that it's unrealistic to control emotions in today's world. So, do you think that this expectation adds more pressure on people?
To control emotions, I I'm not sure. I know that we do live in a society where there are a lot of emotions flying around all the time about so many different things. Everything seems to be heightened, and I think a lot of that comes from, the accessibility. We started off today talking about how it's wonderful that you're in India and I'm in California, and we can come together through the digital space. But the digital space is also, um, it's got the negative aspects as well, and I think that has helped increase and heightened the emotions, and not just emotions, but the raw emotions of people, because we're looking at a screen and we forget, and I'll go back to that, what I was talking about with Nike. I'm working with a person at Nike, so we forget that we're often talking to people who are on a screen, and that I do believe has promoted this accessible emotional world that we live in. Like everyone's emotions are accessible. I don't think it's wrong to ask people to control their emotions. Everyone's emotions are validated, but I think controlling emotions is more about having respect for yourself and the person that you're speaking with. That's it's really about respecting and having kindness for our fellow human
Okay.
beings.
Mm. So, your journey spans industries like the entertainment, wellness, and nutrition. How do these worlds intersect in creating a balanced life?
When I work with different industries and work with the people in those industries, those are typically their passion. So when I talk to them, I know that they're bringing passion to the table when we're having meetings or discussing, marketing plans or strategies for their business. And I think that that brings new awareness to me every time I have those meetings. I like to think that I have boundaries in my life, but I'm also very open in receiving and accepting and learning and gaining new knowledge from other people, especially when I know that they have more knowledge about a subject than I do. And so I really think that that helps me understand the world a little bit better, understand myself a little bit better, and helps to create a balance by absorbing that knowledge that someone else brings to the table.
Got it. So, also on this, like listeners often struggle with, taking the first step towards change. So, what was your pivotal moment? Like, how do you guide others to find theirs?
Well, it's very difficult because no one really loves change. Even people who have experienced a lot of change and kind of attract change or find themselves in habitual change, we don't really like it. We really actually do want stability and something that's, reliable on a day-to-day basis. So taking the first step towards change is a very difficult step, and it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and sometimes it's physical. If you're taking a change towards eliminating a substance from your life, there's going to be a physical response to that. So one of the things that I like to tell people is even if you don't think that you're a writer, get a notebook, start writing things down. And that can be scary because now it's on paper. But it's also very helpful to your growth because once you do start to change and you write about those changes in your notebook, you can flip through the pages and you can see where the changes have come. If you just start doing things without setting goals or writing down where you're at this moment and then coming and seeing that that was a benchmark, you really won't I don't think you'll really see the change. You might tend to take it for granted and not see the actual, uh, magnitude of the growth that you've experienced. So writing things down is very important. I also, go back to what I said a moment ago about having an accountability partner. Share some of what your goals are for change and talk to that person on a regular basis. You don't have to talk to them every day, maybe every other week or, from month to month, but having someone to check in with is always helpful, especially when going through a change.
Okay, got it. So, you have coached and mentors many. So, what's a common misconception that people have about building resilience or achieving balance that you wish to debunk?
I think it's again what I was saying earlier about things happening overnight. They really don't. We again live in this digital world where we see so many people that look like overnight successes. You can go on TikTok, you can go on Instagram, you can go on LinkedIn, and you see people that seemingly have this this wonderful success and you're like, "I never saw them before and here they are." And so it seems like they just happened overnight and it really doesn't. Even, some of the most famous actors and celebrities and musicians spent years and years and years honing their craft before anybody even cared who they were. And the same with entrepreneurs. I mean, we have so many entrepreneurs out there now who are celebrity like, and they've been working for a long time. Uh, so I would say give yourself grace, be patient with yourself, set those goals and write them down and tell yourself, where you'd like to get, but give yourself a timeline that allows for growth to happen, allows for that change to take place. Don't expect things to happen overnight and then get frustrated with yourself because once that happens, there's a cycle of treating yourself poorly, having a bad self-image because you expected things to happen quicker than they ought to in some cases. And so then when you didn't achieve it, you felt like you failed. So now you're down on yourself. So that could be a really bad cycle that people go through when going through change, when trying to achieve goals and attaining some sort of predefined success that they are looking towards the future to achieve. Um, so those are at least two things that I say are good tools for people. Writing things down, writing down those goals, giving yourself timelines that are achievable. In the business world, we call those SMART goals and having someone to talk to about the growth and the change.
Mm, got it. Lovely. So any particular advice you want to give it to our listeners? So what that would be?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? It cut out just a
A-
little.
any particular advice you'd like to share with our listeners?
Um, Beyond having those goals written down and speaking with someone on a regular basis, I would say, um, exercise. If you are not exercising, if you are not moving your body, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Uh, Exercise and movement helps with emotions so much. And I practice it a lot, especially when I get frustrated or I feel like I'm moving into some sort of space of having more negative emotions than I would really like to have that day. I have a stationary bike. I get on the bike. I turn on music. Um, I say exercise and movement music is a really good way for people to, you know, whatever you're going through. I don't know one person that doesn't like music. I've really never heard anybody say, I don't like music. So I like to, tell people if you have a chance to just sit and listen to a song and kind of shut things out for a minute, whatever you're going through, if it's an emotional struggle, or maybe you're just working on something and you feel like you're at a point of kind of being stuck and you're not sure what to do next. Sometimes taking a break, getting away, listening to your favorite song is a good way, and then movement and music at the same time it's like primo. It's wonderful. Go outside, get some fresh air and some sunshine, but I really do think, for anyone that you see that is, um, typically someone that you look up to, I would almost guarantee that they are exercising at somewhat of a regular basis. They are moving. They're probably not sitting around watching a lot of Netflix. They are, doing these things to expend energy because it's almost as if you are expending energy, you're allowing room for more energy to come.
Exactly. That's perfect. Lovely. Great, great. So it's great having conversation with you, Amber. And thank you so much for sharing your insights, your story, and your energy with us today. So, for the listeners, I'd like to mention, do not forget to check out Amber's podcast, Coming Unbinged, and also explore how you too can take the actionable steps towards a healthier and happier life. So, and as always, thank you so much for tuning into Healthy Mind and Healthy Life. And stay curious, stay inspired, and remember that every small change leads to a bigger transformation. So, until next time, take care of yourself and each other. So, thank you so much.